All right. Divine Mercy Sunday. Jesus is always the model for us. He is the example par excellence of what Christian living looks like. He embodies it perfectly. He is the Christ. And we see in this gospel reading Jesus giving us the perfect example of mercy. He meets the disciples in the upper room. They're locked in that room for fear. The Bible says that they're there for fear of the Jews, because what happened to Jesus, they're afraid is going to happen to them, but I think there's another fear there as well. When was the last time Jesus was with his apostles, and what was that like? Remember, this is Easter Sunday. So we think back to the Last Supper, when Jesus instituted the priesthood and the Eucharist. And at that supper, Jesus says, you're going to have your faith in me shaken this night. And all the disciples declare, no, Lord, not us. One of you will betray me. No, no, Lord, we'll never betray you. Peter himself, Lord, I'll never betray you. I'll die for you. Peter, before the cock crows, you will deny me 3 times. And in the course of that evening, in the Garden of Gethsemane, every one of the apostles will flee from Jesus. He will be handed over, betrayed, denied, and by Peter denounced. And then Jesus will undergo the most horrible, excruciating experience. And the apostles saw their leader, whom they pledged ultimate allegiance, die before their very eyes. And now Jesus is standing before them. Hi, guys. How would you feel in that situation? If you had been betrayed in the most egregious way by the people closest to you, and now you're before those people, what would your response be? Come here, it's good to see you. The first words of our blessed Lord to his apostles who betrayed him was, Shalom. That Hebrew word, peace be with you. He extends peace to them. Shalom, peace. That is a word for reconciliation and mercy, because you cannot have peace unless there is reconciliation. There is no peace between any of you if there's something between you. If you have a fight, you have to reconcile that before there's peace. There will never be peace between nations until there is reconciliation and mercy. Those apostles, Jesus stands before them, and I imagine there's a bit of tension in the room. Oh gosh, what is the Lord of all going to do to us? If I were Jesus, good thing I'm not, I would have wanted to rub it in their faces. You. Jesus says, let's be reconciled. He says shalom to them. And then, as the gospel says, then he shows them his hands and his side, as if to emphasize, brothers, see what happened? Do you remember this? You were a part of this. And then immediately he says to them a second time, shalom. Mercy. He extends mercy to them. How beautiful. God is a God of justice and mercy. Justice is a wonderful thing. Justice is that we would get what we deserve. Justice is that one receives what one deserves. And there's an important place for justice. If you're an employee and you work hard and you turn in all your hours and your boss refuses to pay you, you need justice, don't you? Justice is that you will get paid for your work. Would you agree? You want justice in that moment. When your rights are being deprived, you want justice. Justice that you get what you deserve. But when we find ourselves, like I often do, in a sinful situation where I've done wrong, I do not want justice. I want mercy. Mercy is when I get what I don't deserve. The silly example I like to give is when I once did this, drove too fast. Speed limit was such and such, and I was not doing that. The police lights up behind my car, you know what that experience is like? I got pulled over by the police. And the officer comes up and he asks me, do you know how fast you're going? Yes, I do. I was going too fast. Justice demands I get a ticket and pay, doesn't it? I broke the law. So if I'm a man of justice, if you're a person of justice, then you should always demand to pay that ticket when you get pulled over. If you're a diehard justice person, then you should always demand to pay the fine when you break the law. Because justice is to get what you deserve. But that police officer looked at that window and he said, "Sir, I'm not going to give you a ticket. Just slow down." That's mercy. I deserved a ticket, but he gave me mercy. Mercy is when I don't get what I deserve. God extends to us mercy. There are many times where I deserve to be in hell. I know that sounds rough, but if I were to lay out before me everything I did in my whole life and laid it out there, all of the sinful things, everything I thought, everything I said, everything I failed to do, and if I laid it all out, all those college years, if I laid everything before me and had God standing there looking at them, I would be doomed to hell. But the Lord is kind and merciful, slow to anger, rich in kindness. God extends mercy. In the upper room, he could have obliterated his apostles up there for what they did to him. But he extends mercy to them. And that's the invitation for us, is to be people of divine mercy, that we would live our lives modeled after Jesus. Every one of us have been offended. Every one of us have been hurt. Every one of us have received what we shouldn't have received at the hands of somebody else. We all have experienced that. And our instant response, at least mine often is justice. I want to take that person by the scruff of the neck. But the call from Christ is shalom. Peace be with you. Peace be with you. Let that sink in today for all of us. What does our world right now need more of? Justice or shalom, mercy? It needs both. Don't get me wrong. We need both. But we're very quick to jump to justice, aren't we? Until we've been wronged, of course. Or until I've done wrong, that's what I mean. Till I've done wrong, then hold off on the justice. But when I've been hurt, bring on the justice. But when I'm the perpetrator, wait a second. Well, we can't pick and choose, can we? Mercy, though, at the same time, we don't get what we deserve. We receive this mercy, but God's mercy is meant to be transformative. See, when that police officer let me go in mercy, his intention is that I would then start driving slower. It was meant to be instructive for me. Now, if I did the same thing the next day and he pulled me over, do you think I would receive mercy a second time from him? I don't know. Eventually, I'm going to receive justice if I don't start changing my ways. Mercy creates that opportunity for us to move into a new spiritual place. It gives us the opportunity to grow and become what we should be. Mercy provides that space for reconciliation and transformation. Otherwise, it'd just be over and done with. Mercy. I invite all of us to live with that kind of mercy. And I want to ask for your mercy and shalom. There are many ways in which myself personally, but particularly those of us as priests, leaders in the church, have been an obstacle to your relationship with God and the church. It happens. And for the ways that I or us leaders of the church, staff, whoever represents the church, has placed an obstacle and has hurt and offended your relationship with God, I ask for shalom. And I ask for peace and reconciliation. And I beg you not to judge God or the church based upon my irresponsibilities. Because God doesn't deserve to be judged by me. Judge God on his own standards. And I'm sorry if I or any of us have caused you to look at God or the church in a way that God shouldn't be looked at. I own that. And God's going to deal with me and the rest of us in his own mercy and justice in his way. But my hope is that all of you can grow in a deeper, more profound relationship with God and the church, despite all of the ways that we try to get in the way of that. My hope is that all of you have a profound and deep relationship with Christ and the church. And that will only happen if we enter into his mercy. So, peace be with you. Peace. Thank you. Let us try to live in that, all of us, in a deeper and more profound way. Because mercy is the greatest gift we have.